Good morning. I want to show you, for those of you who've never done dried flowers or pressed flowers and handles. So I'm going to do this in reverse because I want to show you handles. So first of all, the mold is just about 32 centimeters. And for this first pour, I have mixed 380 grams of resin and hardener together. 200 grams of resin and 180 grams of hardener. I use the premium epoxy resin from Just For You Online UK, and the ratio, if you weigh it, is 10 grams of resin to 9 grams of hardener. The colors I'm going to be using today is the Milky Heather, Gold Leaves. Both products come from Just For You Online UK. And I am also going to be using these little pressed flowers, which I've bought on AliExpress, if I remember correctly. So, handles. You have different types of handles. If it's a small tray and not too thick and not too heavy, then positioning your handles in your resin once you finish working with it, but while the resin is wet, is a great way to avoid having to drill, which I dislike doing. So today I want to be using these ones. And as you can see, they have a really big flat base. So when I put them on the tray, they sit really, really well. So that's not a problem, and I can use those to sink directly into the resin. However, not all handles are like that. And this one, for example, which is absolutely stunning, has got no height between the start of the design and the shank. So if I were to put it in my resin, half of my design would be sunk into colored resin, which obviously I don't want. I don't want to lose the details of the head of this handle. So this one, I can't sink in to the resin. I would have to drill holes and then put it on. This one, although it has a long shank, does not balance on its own. So when I put it on, it just tips because there are more structures here. It's unbalanced, and the minute I put it down, it topples. So this is another example of a handle that cannot be sunk into resin. You could, by trying to apply levers and a ruler underneath, but it can get messy. It can be dangerous if something falls. So with these type of handles, just leave them. And then once your tray is completely finished, fully cured, then you would drill your holes wherever it was that you wanted them to be. Also, the last point on handles, like I said, if your tray isn't too big and it's not heavy, sinking handles in is fine. However, if you have a really big tray and a really heavy tray, I really don't recommend it. There's always a danger that eventually the handles could snap out of it. So if it's big and really cumbersome and heavy, drill the holes and put your handles in the old-fashioned way. So we can start. I want to do half color, half transparent, gold line in the middle, and flowers in the transparent. Putting pressed flowers in, I've tried several methods, and I have found that if you pour the full depth of your mold, the flowers tend to rise back to the surface. So I prefer to do first a thin layer, put my flowers, and then once that's cured, do another complete layer on top. That's what I found works best for me. But if you've done it another way and it's worked for you, then that's fantastic. So I like to spray the edges of my mold with isopropanol alcohol, 99% pure, which I purchase in large quantities on Amazon. And I've also purchased a little spray bottle. And what I do is I just spray the edges of my mold, and I really find that this helps the formation of bubbles with the resin on the edges. So now it's just a case of pouring, trying to divide my mold in 2 sections, and I just grab my 2 cups and I try to pour at the same time. And just work my way through it gently, slowly, take your time. There's no price for speed here. If you want to control it better, then just stop with one and deal with one at a time. There we go. Finish this bit. And there we are. That's my containers empty. I want now to remove some of these bubbles, but I'm going to be gentle because I don't really want to mix the heather with the transparent too much. I want kind of that definition line to stay as it is. So gentle. My heat gun has got 3 positions: low, medium and high, and it's Tack Life from Amazon, and it's one of the best ones I've purchased. I do love this one. So just go around, try and pop as many of these bubbles as you can. Now we are going to put our gold in the center line, and I'm just going to heat it up a little bit just to remove some of the top bubbles. And gently just do a gold partition line. You can put as much or as little as you want. That's entirely up to you. You can use a stick as I'm doing, or you can pour it in. Again, entirely up to you. It depends what control you have. I find that the leaves fall in big blobs when they're mixed like this. So I do prefer to put them in with a stick. This also gives the resin a chance to settle down before I start applying and positioning my dried petals and flowers. It looks like I have some leftover glitter in this pot, so I have a bit of glitter that's mixing in, which is okay because I think it was a plum. And just move your gold leaves to where you want them to be. If you want to add a little bit more, do. Okay, once you're happy and the resin has had a bit of a chance to settle down, you can start picking up your flowers and positioning them where you would like them to go. I tend to pick a tiny bit of resin and just pick up. I find it a lot easier than tweezers. But again, up to you what you prefer. And you can put as many in or as few in as you like. So, I might just see if I can turn this a little bit better. Just so I have kind of my center for my handles. Non-keen on where this one is. So just gonna gently move that. Like that. And this one, there we go. All right, I'm going to remove my gloves because I do have resin on them and I don't want to handle the handles with sticky resin covered gloves. So gloves off and try, this is more or less my center line here like this. And I'm going to now that way or this way. That way, I think. So, first one is always easy. And then it's aligning the second one. So position it and then move around your tray to make sure the visual is correct and they are aligned. There's not a huge amount of resin depth at the moment, but it will get a flood coat. So that will help with more resin layer depth. And also this is going to be a really light little tray. So there's no worries with that. So just move around to make sure that this is the way you want it to be. Check how far from the edge it is, so they are relatively the same. And move them around if you're not quite happy. I think they're okay. So that's me for this first layer, and I'll see you when this is fully cured for the top coat, into which I will be adding this beautiful iridescent white glitter from Just For You Online UK. We're back. This is cured for 24 hours, and now we can flood coat it. Now, there's two ways you can flood coat. You can flood coat inside of the mold or out. There's very little space. Make sure my gloves are clean. There's very little space between the end of my pour and the edge of the mold. And the danger is that as I flood coat, it will run over the mold, and then that's a lot of work to correct. So I do prefer to take it out of the mold and flood coat it out of the mold. And you can either leave it flat on the table, or you can prop it. And I do prefer to prop it up just in case I have a run and the resin runs over. At least it won't get stuck to the table and completely run underneath the tray. So I keep all sorts of containers. These are glass, but I have plastic ones, yogurt pots generally, or little dessert pots. And I just prop make sure that it is supported well. There we go. And I've got my transparent resin, into which I would like to mix a little bit of fine glitter. And it's the iridescent white glitter. It gives a beautiful little shimmer and shine and some sparkle. But I don't want to add too much. Can you see me? I don't want to add too much. I don't want it to overpower everything. So let's start with that and see. If it's not enough, I can add a little bit more. It's easier to add than to take away. And there is a black something in my pot. There we go. That'll do. Because if I put too much, it'll hide absolutely everything. And that's not the point. I just want to give it. Can you see the colors? There's green, blues, pinks, white, gold. It's gorgeous. And then just literally gently flood coat your piece. Be careful of your handle. Don't pour it all over the handle. Take your time. And just cover. Don't skimp with flood coats. You think you're saving money by not using a lot of resin, but actually you're doing yourself a disservice. It tends to react worse when the layer of flood coat is really, really thin. I don't mean you've got to pour an inch, but enough that it covers it properly. Otherwise, you'll just end up having to do another layer, and you haven't saved yourself any money if it's gone wrong and you've got to add another flood coat layer. And then just gently get the flood coat to your edges. And I'll probably speed up this little process here because it takes a little bit of time and it's not that interesting to watch. So guys, thank you for watching, and I will show you the finished piece when it's fully cured. This will cure for 24 hours again. And I'll see. I haven't decided about edges, whether I'm going to gild them in gold or not. I might leave this really plain and delicate. So I will see you for the reveal when it's completely dry. Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.